let's get to our picks. We're going to start with Chino, and this is something that's now up on Netflix, which a lot of people have been talking about.
Yeah, it's Wrestlers, a docu-series, 7-part docu-series produced by Netflix. And what it essentially is about is OVW and the people behind the scenes. So currently, kung di nyo alam, si Al Snow serves as the CEO and one of the co-owners of OVW after WWE parted ways with it a few years back. So OVW, known of course as the former developmental territory of the WWE. Diyan galing yung infamous or famous batch na sila Cena, Orton, Batista, Brock Lesnar, Shelton Benjamin. Many years later, OVW is still around and we get an inside look on how everything is run. And by inside look, I mean really inside. We get messy and delve deep into the lives of the wrestlers currently under the OVW brand or promotion. We also get an inside look into the wrestling business as a whole. Diba? Kasi on a weekly basis, we discuss the goings on in the wrestling world. And itong docu-series na to also tackles that in depth and very well done, if I may add. So that was actually what took up most of my weekend. Binge watch in between doing my special and other things. I had time to sit down and watch all 7 episodes of Wrestlers, and it was actually a very successful binge for me. I really suggest that as wrestling fans and even as non-wrestling fans, Wrestlers should be added to your watch list.
Yeah, I
Ikaw, Ro, how many
agree.
episodes have you
No,
seen?
I have only seen the first episode today. I was busy catching up on all the wrestling over the weekend. It's interesting, yeah. Chino said that non-wrestlers or non-wrestling fans should watch it, and I agree with that. Especially wrestlers who aren't part of the business, behind the scenes as a wrestler or someone working in production. Everyone has to watch this to understand what we, meaning to say, kami, namin nasa industriya, are going through on a surprisingly and uncomfortably regular basis here. And it's really a little off-putting how much or how familiar the scenarios in the series in the docu-series is to all of us here. So to me, I felt like the first episode was like, okay, I don't need to watch this. This is literally our lives from over the past decade or so.
Nakakatawa na sinabi mo yan, Ro, because I have a chef friend who refuses to watch The Bear for the exact same reason. So
it's not, yeah,
gets ko.
it's not that I refuse to watch it. It's more of, okay, this doesn't cover any new territory for me, but I appreciate it. I appreciate it because it's obviously not made for us wrestling fans. Because there's a whole lot of explanation going on. Like David Shoemaker is in there, really well made up as well, talking about what wrestling is, what pro wrestling is, how it goes down, what the business is all about. Al Snow also discusses all of that stuff. They even get into some business stuff, creative stuff that I know all too well as well. It's also a big dilemma here in the local wrestling scene. So it's not for me,
Hindi
it's for
lang yun,
you.
pati yung mga extracurriculars sa mga
Oh yeah.
wrestlers na
Yeah, diba?
dinidisiplina pa sila ni Al Snow and everything na, dito rin naman, we have our own extracurriculars as well, pero wala kaming Al Snow to keep everybody in check.
Oh yeah. We do kind of have one in a way, in a manner of speaking, pero syempre we only did get that like later, mas ngayon lang, diba? And it's one of those things. I hope that people watch this so they understand the kinds of personalities and psyches that inhabit our industry. I'm not, now that I know what it is, now that I know what's in the series, I'm not in a big rush to watch all of it. I don't know about you guys, but it's nice. It's well done for sure. But this is too much of my real life to make me care that much about it.
So there are two things I want to say about wrestlers. The first is na I've only seen the first couple of episodes, but like you, Ro, there's so many familiar elements, but it all feels too real, and for a good reason because we did live through this stuff and we have been living through this stuff. That being said, what I appreciate about the documentary is at least yung part of its conceit is the fact that there's a ticking time bomb, so to speak, on OVW. na they're facing a financial burden and meron silang co-owners, meron silang financiers who have put pressure on Al Snow na kapag hindi kumita yung investment nila, which is OVW, they're gonna shut it down or they're gonna have to refigure out a way to recoup that investment. So that's a classic documentary storytelling device where if you're documenting a small business or a small endeavor, you put pressure into the story by putting a time limit on it. Obviously, this was filmed last year. And it's 2023, buhay pang OVW. So that also tells you a little something about the behind the scenes goings on of filmmakers and documentaries, how they really make something feel like merong urgency to the matter. Diba? Otherwise, it would be just like every other wrestling documentary that's produced about small-time promotions. That doesn't mean that this is bad, though. I'm just saying na when you're watching it, you're thinking, is OVW in danger? I don't know if it is, but it's still alive today.
I mean,
It
granted,
still
it's not like
exists.
I don't know if pero ako, I didn't really feel na never sila naging at risk Kasi, yes, granted, may kwento ko pa rin kailangan i-kwento, diba? But at the same time, it is a small business. It is very believable
Pero
na mawawalan sila ng pera, diba? These are all like very real stakes here. So kahit alam na natin na yung ending na OVW is still around, I guess they didn't go under, it didn't necessarily mean that at that point in time, there were no real stakes, diba? Or everything was just
yeah.
invented on the spot.
Ang alam
Yeah.
ko, OVW is available to watch on Fight. I think it's for free. So if you ever if you ever feel the need to find out for yourself what they were talking about, what the series is about, what they highlighted there, you can go go on Fight and watch all of that stuff. So I'm guessing it's very much still alive now.
Oh naman, it is still alive. The second thing I wanted to bring up was that I juxtaposed it with Monster Factory, which is another wrestling documentary which is out on Apple TV. So that one covers the Monster Factory, which is run by Danny Cage out of Paulsboro, New Jersey. So ganun din, it's a 6-part docuseries. It's much shorter, much lighter in tone compared to Wrestlers. And yung Monster Factory, even the visuals, the feel of it is very it's very much like a teen movie, kind of like Scott Pilgrim, even with the graphics and everything. So when you compare Monster Factory and Wrestlers, you get a sense of the difference in the way na inatake nila yung pag-cover ng same subject, which is a small independent promotion. In Wrestlers, the focus is really on whether or not Al Snow and his ragtag group of indie wrestlers and veterans can keep this promotion alive and satisfy yung kanilang mga financial backers. Whereas in Monster Factory, the story is about how this very small promotion run by a coach na walang masyadong credentials, doesn't get enough credit, but has a long pedigree of wrestlers na napaangat niya na to the WWE, to AEW, etc. How can they produce their next big star? So, iba yung atake, iba yung angle, but it's essentially the same story. And comparing the two series of the first 2 episodes, mas enjoy ko yung Monster Factory kasi mas light siya. And it presents a different side of something that we've sort of lived through here in the Philippine scene, except it's more hopeful, it's more optimistic, which is not to say na napaka-hopeless ng wrestling scene. It's just that, you're fighting an uphill battle the moment you get into independent wrestling. And it's one of those things that you only really know until you're in there.
I don't know what the story, the overarching story of Monster Factory is. I just really like Wrestlers for the fact that it shows you the life outside of WWE and AEW, whatever's on TV. It's really nice kasi ito yung challenges that we all deal with when people hear na we're wrestlers, we're doing things in the local wrestling industry. We've started up our local wrestling industry. It's not all glitz and glamour and automatic major league level pro wrestlers like you would see in WWE. Diba? So I really want more fans, especially fans who are more on the casual side, to watch this and find out every ugly detail of the industry kasi that's what they don't know about, and I wish they would.
Ang ganda din nung sinabi ni Shoemaker during his interview for this show. Right? In one episode, he goes saying something like rather na wrestling fans, it's not that wrestling fans are gullible, it's that they're in on the joke. So parang that in itself prefaces all the insider kayfabe smashing details that people will encounter throughout the series, which I also ironically enjoyed kasi I've been on the spot telling people na hindi ko na-enjoy kasi nakita ko sineset up nila yung match or sineset up nila yung ring before the show. But for some reason, dito na-gets ko kasi may context siya within the larger storytelling mechanism that they tried to pull off here. Now, I'm not saying na mas nagustuhan ko to than Monster Factory because I have not seen that yet. Pero it is, to me, a more successful endeavor in terms of storytelling kasi mas na-invest ako dun sa mga tao na involved.